main problem with opening government is that they think that today there is a two-state solution. But today there is not a two-state solution. A two-state solution means that there are two independent bodies that each govern themselves and can take care of themselves. Why do we think this is relevant will come in my clashes, but beforehand I would like to tell you what we're going to bring into this debate. We're going to bring two things. One, how this new single state is going to look at Palestinian citizens, how it's going to treat them, and therefore why it's going to harm them. Second, my second speaker is going to bring up how these Palestinians are going to see the country that they are now under the ruling of, and how they're going to treat it, and how they're basically going to, in a way, harm themselves technically, or could benefit more from being individuals in their own country. Now, let us move to the clashes. So basically, what are the problems that the government presents to us? First of all, they're basically saying there are still going to be borders with the two country solution, and moving from one country to another is still going to be problematic. We're still going to have soldiers in the borders. Now, we agree with this, but we think this is not the greatest problem of Palestinians today. We think the greatest problem of Palestinians today is when soldiers come in the middle of the night and barge into their house. We think the greatest problem of Palestinians today is when they're treated as second-class citizens. We think the greatest problem of the Palestinians today is where they cannot take care of their own economy and benefit their own education. All of these things are minute in consideration to border crossing into Israel, which they might not want in the first place and maybe would rather not having a siege over Gaza and going to Europe freely. We think all of these things are a lot more important than these aspects, and therefore we think this is minute. Basically what they're saying today is that the alternative is that Israel goes in and out, instead of just having a police. But again, if the new Palestinian country is an independent country, the ability of Israel to do as it pleases in those territories is significantly reduced. Everything regarding international laws, everything regarding the kind of sanctions we can put on them, everything regarding Israel's legitimacy to do these things because they're trying to protect its borders are different once these are independent countries. Now, let us talk, and last, the right of return. Naturally, even if you don't get the whole territory, still you get a country that you can go back to in Israel. So you get, well, maybe not the full right of return to all of Israel as your home country, but still you get a Palestinian country. We think this totally falls under the two-country solutions. Now, let us move to my point, how the country will look at these people. So we think, first of all, this country most likely will be pretty Israeli, pretty Jewish. I will go further into that next in my point. But how will these people see the Palestinians? We think two things are going to happen. First of all, they're going to see them as second class. In Israel, already today, there is a lot of racism. Already today, even with Arabs that have, never participated under the Hamas ruling, even as citizens that are paying their taxes, all these things, there is still a lot of racism towards them. Second, we think they're going to see them as threatening. All these people now coming from this entity that used to be our enemy are going to be observed as enemies of the state and as problematic. Now, we think basically this is a state of mind that is going to happen even if it's one country, even if they're now becoming equal citizens, which by itself is kind of problematic given the Chok HaLeon that now came, that by definition kind of says this is not your country and you're not equal and you don't have the same right. But even if they will have kind of the same power, we think, first of all, there are going to be less people. Second, it's going to take time to establish political power, as in for all of them to agree on the same political parties that they can put into the Knesset and move new laws that are going to benefit them. And third, we think that the Jewish majority is already well established all throughout Israel and will easily deflect all of these people trying to affect it. What are we basically saying here is that even if they are taken as kind of equal citizens, still their ability to affect the policy of Israel is very, very, very small. In comparison, when they are independent, they have all the freedom they want to change the education system and allocate the money to where they need it most. They have all the freedom they want to allow that there is no racism and make sure that they get the same jobs as every other citizen they can do and develop their own economy, not relying on someone else's being kind to them and not racist to them. And we think when they have this independence, the ability to control their future for the better is a lot greater in comparison to being under the Israeli rule that will be against them. Before I continue, second house, please review your case.
Yeah, if you have the fiat for a two-state solution, then we obviously have the same fiat for one-state solution. It's much better for them to gain all the mandatory Palestine rather than a really tiny, small country.
Thank you very much. So we agree that there will be a one state. We simply say that the way that it is going to be, like the personality, the characteristics of the state are mostly Israeli and Jewish. This is what we're saying in this point. And we think in that case, even though technically they're in the country, as I just showed you, their ability to make changes for their own benefits are going to be a lot less than being totally independent. Now, why we think a Palestinian government is possible? Basically, we think that, first of all, there is going to be a lot less friction. Once you're totally separated, there is a lot of less in and out moving from one country to another. You have, no thank you, basically, and there are less wars because it's more illegitimate to make a war, and definitely to make an operation, so to speak, that allows you to go and disrupt the daily basis. We think it's a lot easier for to operate in this case. We think yes, and we think once they establish this, there is a possibility for them to make actual economical decisions based on retzifut territorialit that allows them to make things that today is impossible for them. Once you don't have a war, and once you have a possibility to make a better economy, the citizens themselves will aspire to have an actual leadership that is not focusing on discussing about the enemy and how we need now to have a war and nationalism, but rather about approaching them forward. So, yes. So basically what we see here today is because Israel is going to see these people as threatening, because they're going to see them as second class, it's going to affect two main issues. One, the security, and second, the economy. The economy simply because they are not going to treat the periphery, the Palestinian periphery, the same as they're going to treat the Jewish center. They're going to give less funds there, they're going to develop it less, etc., etc. Education goes the same way, and in security, as I already say, on one hand, on the strict level, we have people barging into your house, but even if they're kind of equal citizens, still there are the people that are going to be stopped on the street by Jewish police that is going to search them every day of every moment of their day, and we think this as of itself is a great damage to the Palestinians. Thank you very much.